there's something else that I'd like to try with my interface. If my secure interface was growing, for example, one thing is that the worst case scenario, when the methods change, then all code that's already using or implementing those methods also has to change or is also affected. So that's kind of bad news. But more typical type of change inside the interface may be that someone says void set encryption key, right? Provide an encryption key. It could be another string right here, all right? Right, so that someone could specify what the encryption key is. String key, right? That's what I need to say right here. All right. Ooh, where did my original method go? I'm sorry. Let me fix this. Okay. All right. So here we go. So we just added another method to this interface. So this interface can grow in size and become long. So something, some people refer to these interfaces as fat interfaces or overblown interfaces, because your interface becomes like a Swiss knife, right? So you add more and more methods that you think are needed by other methods which are packaged as a single interface, and it could actually become quite messy. The longer the interface is, the more confusing it becomes to realize or understand how to use it, what to do, what methods to call first, what is okay, what's not okay to do with those methods. When you have just a handful of methods, it's much easier. So sometimes, so we could potentially separate interfaces into multiple interfaces. So if this interface becomes too long, we could potentially split some methods. You know, make this a separate separate interface and make those separate interfaces. So let me demonstrate this. Let's just do this. Put these two methods into a separate interface. I'm thinking about a good name, but right now I'm just going to say new interface, create another interface. And let me come up with a good name. iEncrypt. I'll just keep it this way. Can't really come up with a better name than this, right? So, and like I said, what I'd like to do is I'd like to take out these two methods out of my iSecure interface and add it to the encryption interface. Okay, so I relocated to the two methods, but at the same time, what can be done is that the secure interface can be combined with encryption interface by saying, by going to, so the encrypt interface says set encryption key and encrypt, whatever those methods do. And the secure interface here basically can say extends iEncrypt. Okay, so the extend keyword can be used to combine interfaces into a hierarchy of methods, right? So in my employee class right here, in my employee class, I say I implement iSecure. Of course, I need an additional implementation of the method which is named encryption key, right? So I will just take it out from my iEncrypt and put it inside the section where I do my iSecure implementation. So I'll just use override on top of it, and I will provide some sort of implementation. Most likely I'm going to store the key somewhere here, right? At least temporarily. right? And when I say set encryption key, I will just say string, or rather this key equals key which was given to me by this set encryption key method. And set encryption key method, of course, will be a real true override if I add public to it, right? So it needs to be public so that it's a true method override, and so now it becomes to everyone who wants to use it. But notice this, right? I say employee implements iSecure, right? The secure interface, and the secure interface provides only one method, decrypt, which I do implement, right? Which I do implement right here, decrypt. I do my minimal kind of like mock-up implementation of this method, but at the same time, the secure interface is yet to be finalized because it says I extend the I encrypt. So in a way, the situation that I'm dealing with is that my employee, right? So I have my class named employee right here, right? So I'll box it as a class. So employee is a class. Then I have I encrypt, which is the interface. I'll box that as well, as the UML would typically expect us to do, right? Then I use this iSecure, which is also an interface. And recall that what we did was that we said that this one extends this interface. So interfaces can extend one another. And this is a sure way to create a much better understood interfaces, to realize what's common between them, what's more specific between them. And in our case, we choose to have class employee implementing the iSecure. But of course, there is no magic inside employee. You need to implement everything that iSecure has inherited from iEncrypt, and therefore we have listed all these methods. So sometimes when you look at the class like this, right, and you realize that it has a lot of overrides over here, then you look at the set of interfaces that it implements, and you go, say, to iSecure, and you see only one method. It may look a little bit confusing, but don't miss the whether this interface extends another interface. Just to let you know that this technicality exists, and when people begin to be criticized for the fact that they're using a long, overblown interfaces with too many methods, which become kind of confusing to whoever tries to use this interface, I think its criticism is fair, because the designers of the interface should think about combining them into more well-organized, perhaps version of hierarchies like we tried over here. And of course, to finish this demo, of course, we also have iPrintable. Right, so we have the printable interface right there, and our employee class, of course, also extends this particular implements this particular interface. So employee class provides all the code, but now the application has a chance to use any of these interfaces to go to, and whatever methods are available can be successfully used. The reference variable, which is of a printable type of interface, can be successfully used to basically invoke the corresponding method in the underlying class. One more thing before we wrap up, another look at this main class that we have. To finish this demonstration, for example, I could, instead of employee here, instead of the employee, in fact, let me do it this way. I'll say I secure equals employee. Okay, so this is okay. I can say I encrypt. I can use secure to define encrypt. Can I? Or I need to say encrypt. If this was a good name, but that's okay, right? Because what I'm saying is that look at the hierarchy of all objects that I have. If I created an employee, I can derive an iSecure reference from the reference to employee. If I have an iSecure, I can derive an iEncrypt reference from iSecure, because there is this hierarchy of definitions that are in place. So just be aware that this is how things can be done. And then, of course, iPrintable. If I say iPrintable and say equals secure, of course that would be an error, because these iPrintable, let me spell this right. So these two references are really unrelated. What I'm trying to do is to take this reference and assign it to printable. Well, at this point, when I have already a reference of this type or this kind, it's no longer includes any information about other methods that were implemented inside of employee. So this is not going to compile. In fact, if I save this and try to build this, right, I should get a clear error message which indicates that those two things are not related. So let's see what it says. Let me scroll up to make sure I look at the first error in this error report. It says incompatible types, right? In other words, like I said, the types are unrelated, right? So what we can do, however, we can take an employee and create a reference, printable, of printable type from an employee. That's okay, because look at the hierarchy. If I have a reference of this type, of course, converting that reference to the reference of the printable type is completely okay. Now, the code that I'm presenting here is somewhat impractical, so I'd like to give you a better example of this.